Hi, I'm June Williamson. If you're looking for the perfect pie crust recipe, well, I have it and I'm willing to share. And I'm going to stuff it with a rich chicken pot pie filling. That's coming right up on Cooking Made Easy with June, brought to you by Macy's, the happy shopping store. Welcome to this episode of The Perfect Pie Crust. So I shopped a day ahead for the show, and I was in a hurry, and I went to Macy's, of course, to get my stuff, and I actually poked a hole in the flour, just a little hole, and I was like, oh shoot, I don't have time to go grab another one, so they just taped it for me, but they did such a good job. So I just wanted to tell you that little story. There are such great people there, and they're so helpful. So, but I'm just gonna go ahead and cut. It's probably a little bit messy now, but I just wanted to open with Macy's and tell you what a great shopping store it is, and it is a happy shopping place. Okay, so I'm going to make the perfect pie crust, and I got this recipe actually from a sister Gamel in my ward a long time ago. I don't know if she remembers, but on my mission, one of my companions or my friends, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, some people serve missions, and so I was there, and my companionship, she made a pie crust, and she puts ice water in it. So that's one version, and I understand that it was flaky because it was colder. So, and then I had other versions of pie crust where you don't have to do that, but you refrigerated the milk first, there's so many different versions, but I found that this one is going to be so awesome, and you're gonna find it so easy. You don't have to do any of that. So first you start out with 2 cups of all-purpose flour, and so I just like to level a little bit like that. So that's 2 cups. And then it has a ½ teaspoon of salt. And another guest of mine showed me a little option. Let me move this over. That when you're mixing like your dry ingredients, she uses a whisk. So I've been using a whisk, and it's awesome. So it's almost like in place of sifting it together. So I whisk the salt with the flour so that it will be thoroughly incorporated and you don't need to sift it. And then I just do that. It's kind of fun, actually. Okay, that's it. And a cup of shortening. Now, I have tried, I love butter. So I have tried making it with some butter, half and half. But for pie crust purposes, I feel that shortening is the best option for a pie crust. So it's kind of almost a must-have for this type of pie crust. Oh, you're gonna love this. I'm so excited. And it's so easy. So that's it, just 1 cup of shortening. So measure it pretty precise with shortening. Now there's 2 different types of cups. Some measuring cups have a flat like this, and this is more the right size. But there's another kind that has a little lip, and you use it to measure liquids. So if you use the one to measure liquid, it will probably give you more shortening because it has a lip, and then you have to flatten. So always use this type of measuring cup for shortening. Okay, so because I did it before, and it added more shortening, and it made the crust a little different, but it still was good. So next, all I do, if you don't have a pastry cutter, this is a pastry cutter, and mine's a little bit bent right there. I'm rough on things. So the pastry cutter just has these little ridges like this, but you can also use a fork. But I'm going to cut the shortening into the flour, and this is a very common procedure you do when you're making biscuits or pie crust, which is almost like a little biscuit type of thing. So you just cut, you can roll it like this, and again, I have used forks before. So have you heard that expression, easy as pie? Well, excuse me, I used to. Some people think pie is really easy, but honestly, I don't think pie is that easy. But now that I found this perfect pie crust recipe, I'm gonna make my own pie crust versus going to buy it frozen. Okay, so you guys, once you have made it once or watched me made it once, you will do the same. So, okay, so you want, I don't know if you can see that I'm making little crumbles with it. Okay, so it's almost like that. So you want to incorporate into, you want to get rid of all these little bigger chunks, but it's almost done. And honestly, some people put it in a food processor, but you know what? Again, I don't want too many gadgets around my house. In fact, I have all these gadgets since the show, and I don't mind I like the gadgets, but it's like cluttery, and I'm trying to figure out, I'm thinking about buying a new thing. I don't know what it's called. How do you call it? Sometimes I get stuck with English. Although I've been speaking English most of my life, sometimes I forget. I can't think of a good word for some things. Isn't that weird? So anyways, okay, so here we have this. Just like that. Like little coarse flour. Okay, and next, here's the secret ingredient, and drum roll, but it's not here. So I'm gonna go grab it. It's canned milk. Okay, it's right over here. I'm gonna grab it. Don't disappear. Look at the pie crust. All right, we have this evaporated milk, canned milk, evaporated milk, and this is the secret. We need a half cup of evaporated milk. Make sure I got the right measuring cup. Okay, so I just gradually pour it in there, and I'm going to see what I'll use the spoon if I couldn't find my fork. So I'm going to use a spoon, and I'm going to gradually add it as I stir it. Now, here's the thing. I'm stirring it and trying to make a certain consistency. I think this is where it is, the trick. And sometimes I'm in a hurry and I don't measure my flour quite right or a little bit too much, and then it's gonna not have the right consistency to form a ball. So I want you to look at this. Okay, so this is perfect. So I measured okay. See how it's like kind of sticky but not too wet? So that's perfect for a pie crust. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to make it into a ball like this. And now what I'm gonna do next, I'm going to divide it. This recipe makes 2 pie crusts for a top and a bottom. But honestly, I am not a big fan of having a top and bottom pie crust because I always feel like I'm always worried about the crust being too soggy in the bottom. You know, I guess you could bake it a little bit and then fill it in and then put the topping. So I always just make a top crust and it still tastes amazing. And you know, so this is great for 2 pies for me, but you can make it for 1 2-crust filling. So, but of course, if you're making pumpkin pie, that's 2 pie crusts. So I'm just gonna knead it just a little bit like that, and where it's incorporated into some pretty little pats. Ready? See, I'm gonna shape it like that because I'm going to like put it in the fridge. Now, there are times, of course, when I'm in a hurry, I need to have the pie crust now. I don't refrigerate it, and I went ahead and used this. It's a little bit harder to handle, but it was great still. So look at how easy that is. So you have flour, salt, sweetened condensed milk, and that's it. 3 ingredient pie crust. Okay, so I'm just gonna put that in the fridge. And you can just, if you really want to, you can put it in for about an hour. But again, I've used it before like this. It just adds a little bit more difficult to work with. So we're gonna take a little break. And I'm going to, when we get back, I'm going to make a filling for the pie, chicken pot pie. So come back, don't go away. Okay, welcome back. Now we've got our pie crust in the fridge, chilling, and I'm going to do the filling. Wait, that rhymed. Did I say that in a rhyme? Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm turning this stove on. Basically, a chicken pot pie filling. Now, I remember I used to use those canned mushroom, cream of mushroom and cream of chicken, and use the leftover turkey, and then you add your spices. But I've come to love doing my own little creamy filling, and it's so awesome. So basically what you do is you turn on your stove, and I'm going to put half a cup of butter onto the pan, which is going to melt like that. And you're basically making like a roux, like, not really a roux, but we're going to melt the butter, and we're going to brown the onions and the celery, okay? And now, sometimes I like to add garlic, but it adds a little different flavor to your chicken pot pie. I love garlic, but this is okay. So I'm just gonna, I know the butter didn't completely melt, but it'll still work great. So I just put in there, and partly I'm just impatient cook. It's like, why do we want to watch the butter melt? Because this will work out too. Okay, so you let the butter melt. Okay, so then we just add, okay, we'll let it melt a little bit more. But again, I don't let it melt. As long as we have some butter melted in here, then you can go ahead and add your flour. Okay, and we're going to almost cook the flour. At this point, you can also add salt and pepper. Let's see, 1 salt. Now you could minimize your salt a little bit if you'd like and add some more later, because people like different amounts of salt, but I start out with 1 salt and half pepper. I also like to add fresh thyme. Thank you, Macy's. I love fresh ingredients, especially the herbs. It really makes a big difference in your recipes when you use fresh herbs. So I'm just gonna pull off the leaves. I'm not gonna put the sticks in there. And I guess if you wanna throw it in there, you can pull it out after you bake it. And if someone gets a stick like that, but that's not gonna be like that. So I'm gonna just kind of use my nails a little bit like that and take off the little thyme. Okay, now it's bubbling. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because I want to not burn it at the same time. So if you can see, I wish you could smell anything that I have in this kitchen. One day I keep saying this, we have big time, we're gonna invite the audience. Then you can come and smell and taste. Or you could still invite yourself, just message me, happythaigirl.com, happythaigirl Facebook, Instagram. Okay, so I think that's a good amount of time. Okay. And I think that the fresh herbs are more flavorful too, so. Okay, so there's that. No, I have some more, that's okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna stir that and turn it to medium heat. And you notice that it's cooking the flour so it doesn't taste grainy. And this is the purpose of browning it like this, so it doesn't taste grainy. And, oh my goodness, I forgot to take out oh no I didn't. So now I'm going to add my chicken broth. Yes, I forgot my chicken broth. Okay, I will get that right now. Okay, so I need chicken broth. How many cups? Let's see, chicken broth, 2/3 cups. I'm just gonna guess with this bowl. So 1/3, 2/3 approximately. Okay, and then I'm gonna stir that together. And if it looks a little clumpy, you can take a whisk so that it will be smooth, like that, to make it smooth. And then I'm going to add my other liquids, my milk, and I already measured, it's a cup of milk and a cup of half and half. Okay. Now, you can see that, and again, you can add, see how it's clumping? So use your whisk to smooth out to incorporate the flour into the broth and the milk and all that. So that you have that. So that's just enough whisking. You're gonna get your vegetables in there, the whisk. So if you can make sure that you incorporate that all together, you can see that. I know I keep turning it because I'm kind of weird, like I use right hand and I use my left hand to stir. Usually it's the other way around with most people. Okay, so we have that. Now I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit to medium high, but you need to stand right here and watch it, okay? So while it's doing that, it's heating up. Actually, I'm going to put a lid on top to help it heat up a little bit faster. that the lid for it? Okay, so while it's warming up and heating up a little bit, and you have to watch it because it is milk, so you don't want to burn it. So I actually cooked a potato already in the microwave, but I just peel it, and I love to add a little bit of potato into the chicken pot pie. But I'm using a yellow potato. It's a little bit smoother and a little bit more smooth, and also it's a little bit more buttery. So I'm just going to cut the potato, just like that, just into bite-sized chunks. Now I have thought also, I actually have done before, is I've used the purple sweet potato. I thought about the yellow sweet potato or the yams, but I'm not sure about the color in it. And so I decided to go for the lighter kind, and the purple sweet potato has a lighter meat and it tastes so good. So you can experiment if you like. So, okay, so I have the potatoes ready, and I went ahead and cooked my carrots and the peas. And I also use rotisserie chicken, thank you Macy's, but of course you could use leftover, from your leftover turkey or leftover anything, and have about 2 cups of meat, okay? So I'm gonna check this. Okay, so can you see the bottom? It's getting thick. So, and that is perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and add all my other ingredients. I have frozen peas, cooked carrots, some potatoes, and some chicken. There we go. Okay. So I don't know if you guys can see how yummy that looks. Oh, it's perfect. Look at that consistency. So, you know, when you bake it, it can get a little bit thicker. I think this is a really good consistency right now. Sometimes I don't know, for some reason it just seems thicker than it should be. Then I would add a little bit more milk or a little bit more broth, and it would be just fine, okay? So now this actually makes a lot more filling than a regular pie. So you might want to, if you have a deep dish pie, and remember, I don't do a bottom crust. And Adam was like, you don't do a bottom crust? That's interesting. But I don't know if you've ever seen some casseroles where they just put like biscuits on top, and that's really yummy too. Like you put biscuits on top. So I'm just gonna fill it up just like that. I don't want it to boil, but I'm gonna put some more sauce. So you can actually use those little rumkins. I don't even know how to pronounce that. The little dishes, and you can make individual. You can make another pie with this, I think. Okay. Now, normally I like to also dot this with butter before I put my pie crust. So I had some pie crust made earlier, and it's refrigerated, and it's chilled just enough so I can handle it. I'm gonna move this over a little bit so we can see. Add a little bit of flour here so it won't stick. And I'm going to put some flour onto my rolling pin. And we just put a little pressure. As I'm rolling this, I'm giving it a little pressure, and I'm turning it to the side. So you kind of like do different angles of it so that you can roll out the pie crust evenly. So I actually am putting quite a bit of pressure as I'm rolling. And again, it's actually been refrigerated, so it's a little chilly. I mean, it's cold. So I remember I love making chicken pot pie when my kids were little. And my little daughter, Taylor, would call it chicken pie pie. Because if you say chicken pot pie, it sounds like chicken pie pie. And I think she still calls it chicken pie pie today. And she's married now, but she makes a really good chicken pot pie. I think, and I remember her calling me when she got married, Mom, how do you make the chicken pot pie? And I said, I don't really have a recipe. And so that's why I kind of told her how to do it, and she did it, and it was awesome. So I ended up writing a recipe anyways, finally. So it's just like a cream base, okay? So here I'm rolling, and I know it's not a perfect circle, and you notice that when it's cracking like that, I just go back over it. And how you find out how long and how big is, okay, I'm gonna go like that. What you do is you roll it out into about the right size. Okay. And then when you kind of gauge about how big your pan is, you just set your pan about right there. See how it goes over all the edges? So, okay, you have that, and see, I'm worried about this little piece, but that's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. You just fold it in half, and then you fold it again into a quarter. It's almost like math. Math, kids. So you put the point, it's a circle. You put the circle, the center of there, and then you fold it out, and then you fold it over, and voila, you have that. Now, because it is a single crust pie, I'm going to do something a little different for the corners. I'm just going to tuck it in like that. Okay? And I'm going to, this one is a little bit not as perfectly pretty. When I say perfect, I think of Mary Poppins. I love making pie in the winter because, well, even if it's not winter, you can in the summer, but it's just a comfort food, like mac and cheese, you know? So what I'm doing is I'm making the pie crust and tucking it in like that. I'm pressing with my finger, like that, okay? So, one, and it doesn't have to be perfect, but here's the fun part. You can have the kids help you, and you can take the pie crust, the extra pie crust, and cut little leaves or something and make it look really cute. And so you could make, I guess you could make a shape of a chicken. I don't know. I could do a thyme leaf. So now we vent it. So there's different ways you can cut it, but I like to do the classic. Whoops. It's not as pretty. Out, 1, 2, 3, fanning, and maybe a 1 right there, and right there, and right there. And then I'm going to brush it, the top, before I bake it with a little bit of milk. Okay. And so I'm just going to brush it a little bit with milk, and then I'm going to turn the oven. Well, I have the oven on already. Then you just put it in the oven and you bake it. So I'm going to take a break while it's baking and come back, and we're going to cut it open, and let's taste that flaky, yummy crust with the creamy filling. So come back. Welcome back. I'm so excited. Okay, so it's really pretty. Now again, when you're cutting into it, you do worry about, you know, the bottom crust, not having a bottom crust. So, but it'll be good. So it's beautiful. I'm going to move the time over a little bit. I'm going to cut it right in the middle with my pie cutter. This is how it's supposed to work out. But if it doesn't work out quite like that, okay, this is hot. You can grab a knife for the pie cutter in the corner there. Okay, so see, it's coming out like that. Okay, I'm gonna cut the other side. Try not to make it look not pretty. Okay, ooh, there we go. I don't know if you can see that. And then you have the little bit of filling still in there, but I'm gonna take it out and put it right here. Okay. Very hot. Can you see the steam? Okay, but the pie crust is amazing, and the filling is so good too. See how it's really creamy and thick? And again, if you like it a little bit runnier, like you don't need to, you can add a little bit extra milk or chicken broth. So, oh no, hot. Mmm. Mm. I don't know if you can see the pie crust. It's really flaky right in there. It's really yummy, and it's all done and not at all gooey. So in reality, what do? We just crush it together and eat it like that, right? So, okay, so you guys go to Macy's, get all the stuff. They'll really give you great service, and make this perfect pie crust and fill it with whatever you want. And till next time, happy shopping, happy cooking.